So let me go to sharing mode. Are you all following me? Am I audible enough?
Yes, Prof.
Yes,
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
Prof.
So first and foremost, I would like to thank the organizer, Client Aspire Limited, for organizing this particular knowledge sharing session. And for those of you who are joining from different parts of the world, I want to commend your presence and commitment to ongoing knowledge sharing session. Your participation, of course, underscores a shared dedication to harnessing innovative tool for scholarly advancement. So my presentation, of course, will be professional and is anchored or hinged on 9 parts. The first one, we are going to look at the learning outcomes. Secondly, I'm going to talk to you on the introduction. Then I will define for you what is data analysis. Then what is the importance of data analysis for researchers, for educators, and can ChatGPT conduct data analysis? And what type of data analysis can it conduct? Of course, you can use it for both qualitative and quantitative. But for this session, we are looking at ChatGPT and quantitative data analysis. Then I want to caution on similarity index, plagiarism, among others, particularly when doing the interpretation. Your data analysis is not plagiarism, but the explanation, because it's in words, sentences, phrases, clauses, so they are all written in machine language. So you need to use what is called correct strategies for paraphrasing in order for your research to be acceptable. The explanation, not the table, not the chart, not the figure. Figure cannot be plagiarized because you analyze it. Whatever you are getting from ChatGPT, paid version, is what you are going to get in SPSS. The only difference is that it's going to be faster, easier, and of course, more simplified using ChatGPT. So we then go to the practical session where I'm going to open my ChatGPT interface and you see how I navigate, how I manipulate the data in order to generate my result. Then we are going to conclude with questions and answer. So the learning outcomes from this particular session are basically 3. 1, you understand how to use the paid version of ChatGPT to enhance and simplify your quantitative data analysis. So that is number 1. Then we are going to learn how to apply the ChatGPT AI-assisted techniques for interpreting whatever result you generate effectively. And finally, whatever you learn today as educators, you need to use it and then transfer it to your students who do not really appreciate research, particularly in the era of data analytics. The difference between data analysis and data analytics is a matter of semantics. What we do in terms of our data analysis in the university using SPSS is good for researchers, for professors, for lecturers in the university. But for those who are in the industry, those data need to be analyzed in a way that will help them to be able to formulate strategies and make informed decisions. So through what is called demographic analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. So all these are what people do today. And essentially, they are plainly visualization and simplified explanation on how to make decisions. Do we sell or do we buy? Do we stop investing or do we continue to invest? These are what data analytics wants to do for us. But that is another knowledge sharing session in future using AI for data analytics. So my introduction states that the rapid advancement in AI and open source AI software such as ChatGPT, DeepSeek, among others, has created unhindered access to lecturers, to students, to educators on how to use analytic tools in a cost-effective manner to actually analyze their data, whether qualitative or quantitative data. So in this particular era, there's no excuse for not, analyzing data to make informed decision or to enrich your research, either academic research or policy research. Therefore, knowledge without application is simply knowledge. So there are so many people who are going about with theory in their brain, but they can't put it into, practical application. So applying the knowledge to one's life is wisdom. And that is the ultimate virtue, according to Kessi Kaye Lilipoulos. So what then is data analysis? Because this is purely a practical, but I need to provide some theoretical, imperative before we jump into the analysis. Data analysis is simply the process of collecting, analyzing, organizing, interpreting, and presenting data to uncover patterns, drawing conclusion, and support decision-making. So in other words, we have to carry out data collection. We are not doing that here. We are also not organizing. So, or we are doing partial organizing and interpreting, then we uncover patterns. So the issue of data collecting, fine-tuning, coding, we are not doing that here. Therefore, data analysis involves using statistical, logical, and analytical techniques to understand what the data is saying. So we need to dig deep into the data, whether primary data, secondary data, to really understand what, why, and for what purpose, what is the impact. So all these are things that data is going to provide us. So data analysis is one of the three core responsibilities of an academic lecturer alongside teaching and community service. Some of us will teach well, some of us will carry out services, brilliantly, but our research is very, very poor because we are very weak in data analysis. Therefore, data analysis plays a critical role in fulfilling the maxim, publish or perish. So if you don't publish, your promotion is going to be stagnant. And when you are not publishing, after some time, you get frustrated, you may be asked to go, or you go on your own. And that is why the maxim, publish or perish, is very, very common in the academia. More recently, people have also expanded the maxim to be visible or vanish. Yes, some people are publishing, but they are not visible. So if you are publishing and your publication is not reaching where it should, it's not being used by policymakers, by government, by research institute, by industry, then you are going to vanish. So these two maxims are very, very important: publish or perish, and be visible or vanish. So what is the importance of data analysis to those of us who call ourselves lecturers or PhD students or master students? Simple one: informs evidence-based decision. Whatever you are saying on the social media, on television, on radio, if it is not backed by data, then it is just conjecture. You are drawing conclusion based on I think, I feel. And the world has gone beyond that, So everything you are doing must be based on data. Two, data analysis enhances research quality. So when people read your paper and they don't see data analysis, then that paper lacks rigor. It lacks credibility. What you are selling is just subjective views, and subjectivity is not really, something that is desired in the academia. So if you go to a newspaper stand, people argue over nothing. That is subjectivity. 3, data identifies patterns and trends. When you analyze data, you see pattern. When A is going up, what is happening to B and C? Are they also going up or they are going down? Those are patterns and trends from which conclusion, decision could be hinged. 4, data analysis supports theory development. Your data findings, the findings arising from your data will either align with existing theory or controvert existing theory. Whichever one, both support theory development. And finally, your findings arising from your data guides policy and practice. By policy, simply means your findings will serve as recommendation for government and those who are policymakers, and also for managers in the industry, for lecturers, for students, among others. So if you don't base your articles, your write-up in the university based on data, then you won't be able to guide policymakers, practitioners, managers, and the community. So that is why data analysis is very, very important. So the question is, can ChatGPT conduct data analysis? The answer is yes. Functionally, ChatGPT is designed to assist in data analysis with human guidance and specification of statistical tools, model specification, and variable definition. You don't just go to ChatGPT and dump your data and say, analyze. No, you have to guide ChatGPT on what you want. Do you want correlation? Are you testing for reliability? Are you testing for what we can call linear regression? What are the assumptions? How many variables do you have? We know in research, we have what is called dependent variable and independent variable. They must be specified. And for advanced research, we also have what we call moderating variable, mediating variable, and more importantly too, we also have control variable. So there are 5 types of variable in a good academic research. 1, dependent variable. 2, independent variable. 3, control variable. 4, moderating variable. 5, mediating variable. The least you may have in a research are just 2, dependent and independent. And your dependent usually is 1. The independent will be 1 or 2 or 3. So depending on what you are conducting. So whenever you are using ChatGPT, you must specify what you are doing for that algorithm to understand your data. Then interpretation should also be specified, that after analyzing my correlation or regression or my robustness test, please interpret the result for me, because people have difficulty in interpreting their result. So ChatGPT can also help you to clean and organize your data. If you put in data and some years are missing, you can fill in those missing years using what is called imputation. So in future, we learn imputation. Then ChatGPT that we are talking about, the paid version, it is also tapping into some tools like Python, R, Stata, and even the ideas, that SPSS is using, Stata is using. All these are embedded in ChatGPT. So if you want to use, for instance, Stata, you don't have Stata, you can ask ChatGPT to generate some syntax for you. Those syntax, when you copy them from ChatGPT and you put it in Stata, is going to work. And the beauty of ChatGPT is that I want you to analyze my data like SPSS. It's going to do that. Like as if you are in Stata, it's going to do that. So all these are specifications. Then at the end of the analysis, you can now ask ChatGPT that summarize and explain my findings in plain language. Once they are explained, you copy them into Word and then paraphrase in your own words without removing some keywords in research. You can't change the regression output. You can't change the word correlation. They are registered words. What you can change is, the digital footprints, and also paraphrasing, the sentences, maybe 15 words. You can put your own like 8 or 7, so that the remaining one will be the one generated by the algorithm. That is accepted. That's what is called paraphrasing. Paraphrasing doesn't mean you change all the word in a sentence. No, what it means is that you must explain it in your own words and then put the proper citation. So what are the things that you do whenever you want to use quantitative data analysis? These are the things you do: descriptive statistics, diagnostic statistics, you do analysis of variance, regression, correlation, factor analysis, and even what we call the reliability test, Cronbach Alpha. It can also do that for you. So these are the things that ChatGPT will be able to do for you. So I'll come back to this later. So let's go to the practical session. And what do you mean by practical session? Conducting quantitative data analysis with ChatGPT using real-world data. So this is the real-world data. I got a grant in the last 1 year to investigate this particular phenomenon, effect of entrepreneurial orientation and entrepreneurial leadership on small, medium enterprise performance. So in other words, in previous research, people have focused on the relationship between EO, entrepreneurial orientation, and small business performance. Some other studies focus on entrepreneurial leadership and small business performance. I now combine the two because the two are independent variables: entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurial leadership. Both are key constructs in entrepreneurship. One is talking about firm level, construct. The other one is human level. When you say entrepreneurial leadership, you're talking about human being, how they lead organization in the times of problem. Entrepreneurial orientation is talking about the organization itself, the orientation, the philosophy of that particular organization. It could be MTN, it could be Dangote. How does the organization itself cope with turbulence? So that's what the research is talking about. So I now develop a questionnaire. I collected data from small business owners in ASEAN. ASEAN simply means Association of Southeast Asian, nations. So at the end, these are the key things you see in the questionnaire. The descriptive location, we are using Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, that is LOC. Age of a respondent, educational level, that's EDU. PW, professional working experience. The TSM is type of SMEs. You have, some that basically small, some are medium, some are fairly large. Then TOR, the type of respondent. Who is responding? Is it worker? Is it manager? Is it policymaker? Then ET is entrepreneurial turbulence. EL is entrepreneurial leadership, and EO. So after the data has been organized, so this is what I came out with. So let's now go to my ChatGPT interface. So let me share it. Can you see the interface? ChatGPT interface, can you see it?
No, Prof.
No, sir.
Okay, let me share it. Okay, yeah, you'll be able to see it. Can you see it now?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is what is called
Yes, Prof.
the ChatGPT interface. In my own case, it is a paid version. It is a paid version that can do the job for you. And if you are finding it difficult to use paid version, a number of lecturers can just contribute money, because I think I normally pay $20 monthly, and I've been using it for over 2 years. So if you can afford it, it's better. But where you think you may not be able to afford it, so you can contribute and then you use it continuously. You can use it on multiple devices. You can sign. The most important is that you are going to share a particular email and password to be able to enter that particular ChatGPT account. So you can use it, maybe 10 person, does not have limit. So this is the interface. And for this particular activity, before I start the manipulation, let me show you the data I'm going to use. So I'm going to unshare. So these are the data sets I want to use. So the first one is this. Can you see this? These are the prompts, the language that the ChatGPT actually, understands. So I develop it for teaching my students. I've also used it to teach professors in Nigerian universities. I think last year or early this year, professors, associate professor, VC, everybody attended. This is what I use. I taught them how to use this for both qualitative and quantitative. So prompt simply means language command that it actually understood. Can you see it? I'm going to share it later. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Prof.
How about
We
this Excel? Can you also see this Excel data?
Yes, please.
So this is the data that has been fine-tuned, ready for analysis in the Excel. You can also use the same data in your SPSS and everything. LOC that I showed you earlier on. Somebody is using a phone. So just keep that phone aside. It's interfering with what we are doing here. So this is my data, which is already fine-tuned in readiness for data analysis. If you look at the data, you see all the variables, dependent, independent. I'm coming. Okay. And the number of respondents. So you can see the number of respondents is, I think, around one something. Okay, yeah, 224. 224. Please mute whenever you're on the social media. You mute. You're talking to international audience. Mute your mic. So this is my data. So now that you all know that we are using data and prompts, so let me go back to the interface so that we start now. So start looking at the process. So this is my interface. This is my interface. So I will now start by clicking this plus. This plus says add file. I'm uploading the file. So add file. So I'll then go to my folder to pick the file where I kept.
David, yeah.
So this is
Mr. Okechukwu Chiloke, please mute yourself, sir.
So you can see I've uploaded. Okay, I'm coming. It is open. So let me just close it. It's reacting that it is open. So let me close it and re-upload. Can you still view my interface?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, so I want to re-upload. Okay. You can see it is uploaded. In readiness for instruction, said, ask anything. Tell me anything. Bro, tell me anything, I will do it for you. So it's ready. So I'll now go back to my prompt, the instruction. The first thing you do in any academic research is to ask either SPSS, Tata, and everything to conduct what is called reliability test. Because if you are using a data that is not reliable, your result will be erroneous. So I now said, use the updated data set to compute reliability test, particularly Cronbach alpha. We all know that when you are talking about reliability, you are talking about Cronbach alpha test. So this algorithm understood what you are talking about. So I only added instruction explanation so that there won't be issue. And asking ChatGPT to conduct a Cronbach alpha test for you, you only focus on the key variables that underpin your research. And what are the key variables? If you go back to the slide I showed you, they are the independent variable, dependent variable, moderating variable, and you may also add your control. But control most times doesn't add anything, because when you say something is control, we are not really using it to make any informed decision in that particular model. So I have added only one control, and that is type of respondent, TOR. PFM, which is performance, is the dependent variable. ET, which is what we call the environmental turbulence, is the moderating. Then EL is the first independent variable. Then EO is the second moderating variable. So if I don't want to have a control variable, I'll just remove the TOR. So I'll just remove it. So in this context, I want because the things that I measure that I want to interpret in the research are basically these four. Dependent variable, which is the performance of SME. The two independent variable, EL, entrepreneurial leadership, EO, which is entrepreneurial orientation, then the moderating variable, which is the environmental turbulence. So after, evaluating my instrument, which is the questionnaire, is going to tell me if my questionnaire is reliable or not. That is the reason why you should first test the reliability of your instrument by examining the functionality, strength of all the variables that underpin your research. So click now. You now click. So it's click. You can see that it's doing background analysis, check, and so many other things that we may not be able to see. So he came up with his own Excel table. Then after that, you see so let's go. So it's still trying to understand, manipulate. It's not magic. It's doing some things in the background before the result is produced for us. So it takes about 1 to 2 minutes, which is faster than what SPSS and some others will do. So you can see, it said below are the reliability results. The reliability result is using the scale in the questionnaire. SPFM, performance, ET, moderating variable, EL, independent variable, then EO, the second independent variable. You can see my Cronbach alpha is 0.79, which is 79% result. Then in the benchmark, in statistics, when you have your Cronbach alpha, which is 0.90, that is the peak you can reach. Excellent internal consistency. 0.80 to 8.9, that is 80% to 89%, that is good. Then my own is 0.7 to 0.79, which is acceptable. Acceptable. Even for undergraduate research, you can still accept 0.5, but it is poor. Even at master's level, 0.6 is still good, but it's questionable. But when you have 0.7 above, it is very, very good. So you can see, this is the interpretation. The obtained Cronbach alpha of 0.75 indicate acceptable to good internal consistency, which means that my instrument is good. It is capturing what I requested it to capture by 79%. This suggests that performance, environmental turbulence, entrepreneurial leadership, entrepreneurial orientation are sufficiently correlated and reliably measure a common underlying construct. So the case demonstrates adequate reliability in readiness for empirical analysis. You can use regression, you can use SEM, PLS, you can use factor analysis, and at the end of the day, you can come up with a policy and entrepreneurship research context explanation. So all this I didn't ask, but it's trying to tell me the implication of what I have done for research. Said the internal consistency of the instrument was assessed using Cronbach alpha. The result shows so this is the explanation you provide regarding your reliability. So this is, if you copy this, for instance, it's going to have a plagiarism implication, because these are not your words. You can just rework, but there are some things you can't change. Cronbach alpha cannot be changed, coefficient cannot be changed, 0.79 cannot be changed. Then your construct PFN can be changed because it's you develop them. They are from my instruction. EL cannot be changed. EL is EL, EO is EL. So, and this indicates acceptable internal consistency. Therefore, or thereby confirming that my measurement scale is reliable. I can now progress to the next stage of my research. So we have conducted internal, consistency test, which is also called reliability test. The next one is now to test for descriptive statistic. Descriptive statistics. So copy the instruction. Can you see the second instruction? All this mean, mode, median, blah, blah, blah. Skewness, kurtosis, minimum, maximum. So we now want it to do that for us. So go back to your instruction, copy it, then go back to the interface. So this is the interface. You come back to the interface. You are not re-uploading. The first uploading, that data is there. Now you go to the second instruction, put it there, and say, compute the descriptive statistic. That is my location, age, educational qualification, the professional working experience, the type of SMEs that investigated, the type of respondent that filled that particular questionnaire, the performance, the environmental turbulence, the entrepreneurial leadership, and the entrepreneurial orientation using the uploaded data set. So I click. So it's going to take a minute or less than a minute to do what you are going to do for about maybe 10 hours of hard work. So, and whatever it gives you, if you are not satisfied, you ask. For instance, it may give me the result alone and interpret. And I say, no, produce the table for me, so that I will copy the table, or you export the table in Excel. It's going to export. You are going to see that. So that the data that is exported, you can use them as your appendix. Then you copy them and put them in the body of your work. They are not plagiarism because they are purely data analysis. So this type of table for descriptive can be copied right from the interface, or you request that it should be produced in Excel because your lecturer wants to see the Excel. If you are copying, this is where you copy. Look at it. It says copy. So, but before we do the copy or the Excel, it has given us the result. The variables This is the N. That is the number of observation. You call it count, observation, or N. So the number of items. So those are the names. For the minimum, for LOC is 1. And the maximum is 8. 8 countries participated, so the maximum is 8. Then for age, there are 5 age brackets, the first one and the 5th. For education, there are 5 categories, maybe ND, HND, first degree, master's, and PhD. For professional working experience, the scale is also 5, maybe 0 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, and so on and so forth. So that's the meaning of minimum, maximum, standard deviation, skewness, kurtosis. So it has given us all this. So this is the interpretation which I just made. The sample size is 223 respondents. Standard deviation is moderate from the table. If you want the explanation to be deeper, you can ask. For instance, I'm not satisfied with the explanation. I can request that provide more detailed explanation in plural for the descriptive. So you see what it's going to give us more detailed. You can see these are more detailed explanation. It's talking about each central tendency, your minimum, maximum. So you can see on location, it's telling you the implication of location, implication of age, implication of education, then the professional working experience, type of SMEs, type of ownership. The reason why it's changing the word is that I didn't define that TOR means type of respondent. It's telling me it's type of ownership. Those are simple things that you can correct on your own. Then, what is the explanation for PFM? What is the explanation for entrepreneurial turbulence? Because I didn't define it. It interpreted it to be training, but it is turbulence. If you want to correct it, you can just specify that this is going to correct it and rewrite. So then the skewness. How do you interpret the skewness? Skewness simply means the shape of that particular curve in terms of bell shape from left to right. Left is usually negative, right is usually positive. So for all the variables, it's explaining it. But in statistics, you may not be so detailed. You know, the script is just to describe those variables before you start working on them. So you cannot ask to write the report in form of a journal. You can say 100 words, 200 words, 300 words, among others. For instance, I want the descriptive to be, I say exports the descriptive in Excel format and write the report in 200 words. So look at everything up there. I said, first export it for me. So just continue to watch. For those who need evidence, how did you analyze? Where is the Excel? You need to put it in the appendix. Don't just copy something. It's going to do it. Coming, my battery is low. Okay. So it takes maybe 1 or 2 minutes because it wants to generate all those things. Can you see the Excel? Can you see it? Are you there?
Yes, we've seen it.
Yes,
So
yeah,
if you click
I can see it.
Yeah, if you click it, it's going to produce it for you. Can you see it?
Yes,
It's
Prof.
already open. Yeah, it's already opened. This is it. So this is what you now copy and put in your table. Can you see it?
Yes, sir. We can see it, sir.
So you can copy it and then put it in your work, then keep it in a folder for your appendix. So that is how you, then I said, now summarize the result for me. Write a report. You can see the report, 200 words. Said descriptive statistic we are computed and summarize this characteristic, blah, 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 all this statistical term. Then so you put this in your report, then try to work on the paraphrasing so that you own it. But the table in figure in Excel cannot be paraphrased. What you are generating in Excel is what you are going to, what you have generated with ChatGPT is what Amos is going to give you, is what SPSS will give you. So, but anything written in words, try as much as possible to paraphrase in your own words, you know, so that it becomes, your own permanently. So it's not asking that if you want that I can format the table in APA or for Scoopus Journal. The table is just generated. There's a way you put it in your article to conform with APA, but we don't need that. If you need, I can do that in future. We still have more things to do. So we have concluded what is called the descriptive. The next thing is to now generate, because when you generate the descriptive table in Excel, your lecturer may want you to come up with what we can call charts. You know, chart is always very beautiful. So I now said, generate chart based on this variable. All these variable, yes, we are giving us the report, everything, but we want you to produce them in charts. So let's see. It's going to produce charts, beautiful charts for location, for age, for type of respondent, because chart is always very good, and it is something that you can visualize. And that is where the word visualization emanates from in the world of data analytics that is very popular now. It's not new. It's just your descriptive in chart, in table. But now they want it to be visualized and the explanation, simplified for making strategy, decision, and operational, day-to-day activities. So it's going to generate the chart for us, for the key variables for which we have, you can see, is this not beautiful?
It is.
It is, sir.
It is.
This is your age distribution, and you can copy it. You can copy it. It's not plagiarism. This is what SPSS will generate. This is what Amos will generate, eView, among others. So you can see. So you can interpret what the data is saying. That is the power of chart. This chart that it has produced, you can now write. It said I can even generate separate chart for it, which it has generated it. And if you want the explanation for it, it can also do it for you. Although we have done it earlier on under descriptive. But if you still want it to be done, it can do that for you. And that is why it's asking you how to use this chart in your thesis and what. So it can also guide you on how to use it. For instance, the explanation, you say figure X, blah, 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 blah. So if I want all this chart to be, it said export all. If you want to export it, you can export it. You can also copy it. For instance, I want to copy EO. Just right click on it. You can see copy image. And you put it in your report. It's going to remain beautiful, untouched. It will be shining table, not, useless table that people design these days. So this is how to complement your descriptive statistic with visualization. So Let's move on. The next thing to be done is after providing us with I now want explanation. Provide written explanation for each descriptive statistics. We have done it earlier on, but I still want to, because this is a teaching platform. So say provide written explanation for each descriptive statistic stroke chart. Let me add chart so that we enjoy it. So let it now provide written explanation. So most people who are in ND, HND, at their level, they want them to be able to use descriptive statistics. This is the explanation of that chart. The variable LOC has 223 observations, that is number of participants, indicating complete data coverage. Value range from 1 to 8, as you can see in that particular table. The distribution is moderately positively skewed. That is, if you look at the way the distribution is given, it tends towards the right. So these are the explanation of all the table. For thesis, you can go deeper in this way, but for article, you do a sort of generalized explanation. So overall, this is overall. Across all the chart and statistic, skewness and quantitative value fall within acceptable region. The ones that are usually problematic from all the descriptives are usually skewness and kurtosis. When they are not good, then you have to go back to your data and do some amendments and improvement. But in our own case, they are very good, so we don't have problem. So now we have completed the reliability test. We have also completed what is called the descriptive. Let's now move to the diagnostic. Because before you can conduct your correlation and regression, you need to do what is called diagnostic statistic. It is borrowed from medicine. Before you give somebody medication, what we call drug in Nigeria, Americans will call it medication. If you call it drug in the US, they will think you are talking about cocaine. So you need to first conduct tests in the laboratory to know if the malaria is actually malaria fever, typhoid fever, dengue fever, or other type of fever. Similarly, before you run what we can call inferential statistics on which you base prediction, explanation, conclusion, you must do what is called diagnostic statistics. Let's diagnose our data and see if the assumption for carrying out inferential statistics, particularly regression, is met. So all these are the things that are necessary. The VIF, the multi-coloniality, and some others. So let's see them one after the other. So I've listed all of them. There should be about 5 or 6. Okay, but I summarized the key ones and I matched some. So we are going to do 3 activities. The first one is, let's check the multi-coloniality. That is, if the independent variable can actually, correlate, can explain one another. So let's see. So, yeah, so click. So it's going to generate the table. When the table is not generated, ask, produce the table and all the coefficients, then the explanation. So don't always stress yourself with the explanation of some of these concepts. You learn them even on the platform. That what is heteroscedasticity, what is multicoloniality, what is vector inflation factor, and all this is going to tell you what they mean as you continue to learn using ChatGPT. So it's trying to do the multicoloniality for us, which is a precondition before you conduct regression analysis. So you can see, yeah. He said below is your vector inflation factor, which is how to understand if something has multicollinearity or not. So you can see, we put in so many data, but when it comes to vector inflation factor, only the independent variable are to be measured. You can see it removed PMF because it's a dependent variable and left EL, the first independent variable, EO, the second independent variable, and also added the moderating variable. Moderating variable and mediating variable are special independent variable, but they don't call them independent variable, but they are treated in research when you are calculating vector inflation factor as independent because they behave like independent variable. They are not dependent variable. They also impact dependent variable like independent. So you can see now, this is the table. It said the constant term is excluded, because it's not part of it. So you can see the interpretation. Commonly acceptable threshold for VIF are, it should be less than 3, less or equal to 3, then between 3 and 5 is acceptable, greater than 5, potentially a problem, greater than 10 is and if you look at this interpretation benchmark, you see that all our results, actually met that threshold. None is more than 5. None is more than 5. You can see. This is the explanation. So this is telling you that you are on the right track. No variable exceed. So no problematic issue. Regression is assured. We can then progress. So it's telling you the implication when you are writing your methodology, what you have conducted, that I carried out multicollinearity tests, and the value is blah, 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 which is an indication that I met one of the conditions for linear regression. I met one of the conditions. So let's go to the second one. Then test normality. Is the data normal? Then all the things that are used in normality, show us so that my supervisor will know that my data is actually normal. I've made the normality assumption. So test the normality of residual from regression model using statistical tests like Shapiro, Wilkie, and visualization like histogram and QQ plot. Either of the three will measure normality, but I want you to give me the 3. I want the 3 and provide me with explanation. So click. So it's clicked. So it's going to generate everything and explain for you. So the only thing you need to bother yourself now with is writing your results and ensuring that there is no plagiarism. We assume you have written your chapter 1, your chapter 2, your chapter 3 methodology, but now you are feeding in the results, which is the most problematic for lecturers and students, and which we are trying to demystify using ChatGPT. So it's going to give you what some people, have been doing for 6 months. We are going to do that within a couple of minutes today. So maximum 2 minutes is going to generate everything. You can export, you can copy. You see, this is the histogram of regression residual. Test of normality. You can see that it is normal. If you are using Q-plot, this is the Q-plot. Then if you are using statistical, the test of Shapiro-Wilk, this is it. Shapiro-Wilk shows that the W statistic is 0.99. Then the p-value is 0.22. What is the interpretation? The null hypothesis of Shapiro test is that the data are normally distributed. Since p-value of 0.22 is less than the 0.5, which is the p-value for acceptance or rejection, we fail to reject null hypothesis. This indicates no statistical evidence of non-normality. That is, our data is normal using 3 different approaches. And if you want the explanation to be detailed, this is it. said the normality regression residual was assessed using Shapiro and visual inspection, using histogram and Q-plot. We use three things. One suffices, but we use three. So the Shapiro-Wilk test yield a non-significant result. That is the Shapiro coefficient of 0.99 at P greater than 0.005. So the Shapiro coefficient is greater than 0.005, which is the benchmark for acceptance or rejection. So indicating that the residual is normal. Our data, when you plot it, it is normal. And when it is normal, then it is a good, data for carrying out our correlation, our regression, anything we want to do. So, which is very, very good. So, but we are not done. We still have to carry out checks for heteroscedasticity in the residual of my regression model using Brecht-Pagan test and White test. Either of the two will be used. So they are going to be carried out, and we are going to be given you can see, even after the last exercise, ChatGPT is also telling us that you need to test this. You can see, using this. So it's also telling me that you should. So let's do the test of, as rightly mentioned, but I have what is called the prompt. This is the prompt. I may also add to it. Okay. Let me add this also to it. So now click. After all these results have been carried out, they are like conducting tests for malaria, for typhoid fever, for HIV. So at the end of the day, the doctor will tell you that we have done a comprehensive diagnostic of your system and you are good to travel. They now give you a clean medical record. That is what diagnostic, is doing in statistics, telling us that we are good to carry out what is called ordinary least square test or regression test. Most of us, we rush into regression without carrying out diagnostic test. So in the world of statistics, before you jump into your inferential statistic, you must do diagnostics. You can see residual versus fittest value. So you can use eView, you can use Tata, they will still produce the same result. Because what ChatGPT is doing is using all those resources in the background to do this thing for you. So this is heteroscedasticity, measurement of, heteroscedasticity, that is to test if the variance are really constant over time. So the White test, this is the result, this is the interpretation. Then the linearity assumption is given in the fittest stroke residual plot. This one, this is how it is tested. The residual versus the fittest. You look at them, how the data interact, the residual and the fitted value. You can see that everything is scattered and it's not really clustered. It's scattered and, it looks very good. So overall, this is the interpretation. Diagnostic tests we are conducted to assess heteroscedasticity, linearity, independence, error. So the Brecht-Pagan and White test yielded non-significant results, indicating the absence of heteroscedasticity. Visual inspection of the residual versus fitted value also confirmed linear relationship and between the predicted and the dependent. Predictor simply means independent variable. That's another word, the predictor. The predicted is the dependent variable. So furthermore, Dobbins-Watson statistic suggests no autocorrelation in the residual. Overall, the regression model satisfies the key classical regression assumption, which are 5. So it means our test is clean. We can now conduct what most of us rush to conduct, which is the regression. So, but before the regression, I want us to do the correlation. So, always do the correlation after your diagnostic, because correlation is very, very good, but it shows, the direction of relationship, but we cannot really use it for prediction. It is only regression that can predict. So let's now conduct correlation. So this is our correlation. I'll also request the algorithm to give us the correlation matrix, both in Excel and also in chat. Both are very, very good in your thesis or your article. It makes it very beautiful. So the world is watching what we are doing, and that's a plus for clean. So this is the correlation matrix. This is the interpretation of the Pearson, and this is the explanation of it. So you can write this on your own. The relationship. But I want the produce correlation matrix. In visualization charts and write a comprehensive report. So let's see this. So I also request after this to produce the detailed correlation matrix, even showing the number of variables and the p-value, then to export in Excel. But I want you to provide the visualization of the correlation matrix first, so that you see how powerful the algorithm is, and it's going to enhance your result. You can see this is correlation matrix. So this is correlation matrix, which most people struggle to design. Some will sketch. So this is the explanation of our correlation results. So this is what you need to explain your correlation. Now, produce the results of the correlation in Excel, showing all the variables, p-values, and number of counts, etc. So I want you to show that beautiful table that your supervisor wants to see, or you put as appendix, at the end of your thesis, among others, or you want to copy it neatly in APA format and put it inside your article, the way it's normally embedded in article. So I want you to give us the Excel version, which is going to give us now, not just showing it on the screen. The one on the screen can be copied and it's going to appear beautifully in your MS Word, but for authenticity, for those who are inquisitive, they still want to see the Excel, output. We call it output. So it's going to give you shortly. And after correlation, we now go to the regression analysis. It could be generalized regression or ordinary least square. But from our diagnostic, what we have done satisfied ordinary least square statistical techniques and the generalized regression analysis. So it's taking its time because I gave it a lot of job. So it should be ready shortly. There are times it may be due to network quality. So one more exercise after this, after correlation, one more activity before I will now conclude. So I'm trying to recopy, maybe network. I want to somehow refresh or request again. So I want to terminate the ongoing. It's taking too much. It shouldn't be. So when you have things like this, you can stop it and then request all over again. So I want to pause X again. So because it shouldn't be more than 1 minute, it's taking time. So network. So we should get it shortly. Okay, sorry. I should have added export. Export, I put, what I wanted was actually export, not produce. It's already produced. So. Okay. It's already produced, but I wanted to export it. So there are some things you need to learn here that once you give the wrong instruction, it will be confused. Export the result of the correlation showing also. It's just like human being. When you ask stupid question, we also look stupid. So I've given the right issue. I want it to export first. I didn't put that word export. So it's going to export it now. So we have actually concluded our analysis, but I want it to give me in form of Excel so that I'll be able to download and use it for some other very important use. So we should be able to get it now. So it's working in the background to put everything together in the way we want. So things you do in Excel, Starter, is being done in the background, and the result is being produced for you. It's not as if ChatGPT is a standalone tool. No, it leverages other tools, R, Python, Starter, and so many other things to be able to give you whatever it is requested to produce. Yeah. Can you see? Can you all see the output? This
Yes,
is
sir.
it. So once you click on this table, so let me click and show you. So it's downloaded there already. Can you see? Yeah. This is it. So this is what it has done. So let's go back to you remember correlation is going to correlate the relationship between the dependent variable and all the independent variable. Then among all the independent variable, but the correlation matrix is what you need. Correlation matrix is what you need. So produce correlation matrix. We have it up in image, but we still need it in Excel. So what it gave us is all the correlation, but we want it in a matrix form. The matrix form is already interpreted, given, but for the purpose of developing your appendix for thesis, you need to have all this Excel. So that's the reason why I try to be as systematic as possible so that you have all your files. The one produced is good, everything, it analyzes the correlation between the two independent variable and dependent variable, and then among the independent variable and also among the independent variable and the moderative, everything analyzed for you. So while we are waiting for the correlation matrix to be provided, we should be warming up for the regression. So I want you to produce it before I go to the regression. After your correlation in data analysis, the next one is regression. The next one is regression. So let me copy the regression prompts while waiting. So this is the regression prompt. Run regression analysis, copied, and that's the final one for today. We have our detailed correlation result already in Excel, but I just want you to also benefit from the correlation matrix, the one that, we're actually interpreting that fits into what we are doing, not the entire, correlation, analysis, so to speak. So this is the one we are waiting for, which is already producing image. This can see, this is what is called correlation matrix. This is already an image. I want you to have this in Excel. So that is what I just requested for. So it's still being done. It's taking its time. Another alternative is to download the one in image, then upload to be converted to Excel. It's going to do the same thing. So the network is also weak. I think the network is also weak. That is why it's taking. So let me give it 1 more minute before we progress to the. Should be able to have it in a few seconds. After 1 minute, I'm going to terminate so that we go to regression if it's not. Okay. So this is, so it's already downloaded. So we have been given the correlation matrix is already produced. This is it. It's already produced. You can download and export it. This is it, the one we want. So now the final state, run the regression analysis on the data set by examining the relationship among the variables. PMF is dependent, blah, blah, blah. So run and then provide the results. So if you don't conduct diagnostic, your regression result will be misleading. So that is why we have taken our time to take us through the correct approach for conducting quantitative data analysis. All the things required, we have covered it, from reliability, descriptive, diagnostic, then we now concluded with the regression analysis itself. You can see, before you conduct regression analysis, you must specify the model. You know, even in my data, I said the dependent variable is PMF. The first independent variable is EL. The second independent variable is EO. Then the ET is it stated the ET as the third independent variable. You can request that it is actually a moderating variable. Okay. Yeah, it's still treated as moderating. So this is the results. But I want this model amended. Rewrite the ET properly as a moderating variable, not an independent variable. So I want it to rewrite, although it's going to generate another one. Then rerun the regression. So as a researcher, I queried the model specification. I queried it, although I actually understood what it has done. But for learners, I want you to specify it correctly. It has done it in the background, but for learner, it should be reflected properly. It should be reflected properly. So whenever there is an error that you spot, you ask the ChatGPT. You can see, yeah, this is it. So you can see, because we have a moderating variable, moderation should show this. You can see Since we have two independent variables, then there should be two separate information that shows that we have a moderation. That moderating variable called ET will moderate EL, will also moderate ET. So this is the proper one, you can see. So this is the correct results. Yeah, this is the correct result. So we have concluded. Now, I now want the ChatGPT to write full reports. Write a full report on our data analysis with all the tables, charts, and interpretation. In readiness for publication in APA, okay, in Scopus index journals. Use APA referencing APA style for the tables. So let's see what is going to give us. So this marks the end of our activity. So all the things we have done is going to write a full report. And if you want that report to be given to you, can export. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So this
sir.
is data analysis result. Data analysis chapter 4. You can see chapter analysis. Sample data. It wrote on sample data. We discussed this descriptive. You remember? This is the descriptive result. This is how it's going to show in APA format. That's the interpretation. This is reliability result, the Cronbach alpha. This is the correlation result matrix that we requested. You can see it's now appearing in the matrix form. Readiness for publication. All these data, they are not plagiarism. The only thing you need to work on is the language. Our multicollinear diagnostic, it has produced it. Put the table there. Then regression analysis, it has given us the table and the moderatory regression that shows the first independent variable, second independent variable, then the mediating variable and the moderating variable. In case you want to change your mind, you want to have a third independent variable, the ET is there. But if you want to treat them strictly as moderator, this is it, moderator 1, moderator 2. Then this is the interpretation, the simplified. If you want the one that will show the figure, the coefficient, and so is going to give you, but this is the one that you need in a journal. But if you want the one in a thesis, it will be more detailed. So all the exports in terms of visualization, you can reproduce them. It's going to give you everything for writing your. So let me reshare my slide to conclude because of time. The MC, are you there?
Yes, sir. Prof, I'm with you, sir.
Okay, so I want to conclude. So let me just conclude, because there are some things I want to tell you. So here, this is what I skipped earlier on. For the essay aspect of ChatGPT, you need to be professional because we are all lecturers. Anything you leave, either in Wikipedia, in ChatGPT, is going to have two things. The first one is what is called digital footprint. When you copy those things, there are some things you may not see it. They are there, like X, like star, like ash, all these are digital footprints, which plagiarism software like Turnitin will look out for to detect that this is not your work. So try to do what is called proofreading. You rewrite, you reword, you rephrase. So how do you do that? I developed a methodology for my students and also for my university. I presented this globally. It is called CREPT strategy. CREPT strategy are a set of principles that I consistently advise researchers to follow while using ChatGPT to ensure that their work aligns with academic value. When you follow it, it's going to remove digital footprint from your articles. It's going to reduce what is called the plagiarism or similarity index. So, and the principle is basically that you reward, you rework, and you paraphrase repeatedly to own it because you have your own style of writing. CREPT is based on number one principle, C, creatively. You write creatively as a lecturer. Then, because we are lecturers, we are not expected to engage ourselves in academic theft. So you embrace our principle, responsible. You should be a responsible writer. Then E, you should be ethical. Use ChatGPT, use any tool, but you must be ethical. There should be ethicality in the usage. And finally, we should be professional. Everything you lift, you must cite it properly, reference it properly, then use your own professional style. Professor Nwosu is known by his way he writes. Achebe is known by his own pattern of writing. Wole Soyinka is known by his own pattern of writing. But if you allow machine to write for you, machine will write in machine language. And you are going to suffer three things. One, embarrassment because machine language is detected from your work and you may be sanctioned. Then number three, you lose your own originality. So if you generate something from ChatGPT, 3,000 words, it is still 3,000 words, but not your own. Try to paraphrase, rephrase, put in your own words, at least for every 15 words in a sentence, let your own be 7. The 8 cannot be changed because they are registered terms and some of the terms used by the original person that frame that particular sentence or statement. This is very, very important. So finally, technology will not replace great teacher like you, but technology in the hands of great teacher can be transformational. That is a quote by George Couros. Thank you for your rapt attention.
Oh, thank you, Prof. This is a wonderful session. Thanks. May Almighty God continue to bless you abundantly and your wonderful family.